Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I think it's 5 minutes past the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. I did want to be respectful of everybody's time and the time that you are taking to come to this first time homebuyer workshop. We are very appreciative that you're here. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen just for a second. All right. I want to make sure. Can you see the full screen now? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Courtney Espinoza, and I'm a program implementation manager for Transform Fresno. I work for the city of Fresno in the mayor's office for the Office of Community Affairs. And this is one of our objectives for Transform Fresno is to hold first-time homebuyer workshops throughout the grant period. And so this will be the third of many to come. And so I just want to thank you all for joining us. And I wanted to tell you all a little bit about how to use Zoom if you're not familiar with Zoom. So this presentation is being recorded. It will be posted on our Transform Fresno website after the meeting, so you can go back and view that and look at what you might have missed and educate yourself a little bit more. We're also going to be posting the slide deck that Mayra is going to be going through, so you'll be able to go and reference that information. Participation in this meeting will be considered consent for it to be recorded. During the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to comment and ask questions about the topics we're discussing. For those of you that are new to Zoom, if you would like to speak, please utilize the raise hand feature on your Zoom or press *9 on your telephone. Once it is your turn to speak, you will be called on to unmute yourself. And then you can also choose the raise hand button under the participants section or by clicking the reactions and choose raise hand. So there are several different ways to go ahead and make comments. So again, I'd like to thank you all for coming. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mayra.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations for being on this call today. This is the first step in regards to getting information about being a homeowner. Being a homeowner is an exciting step in life. You know, I can compare it to being married or having children. You know, it's such a big accomplishment, kind of like when you graduate from college, and it's just owning a home is something so beautiful where you have that pride of home ownership. It's proven that, you know, kids whose parents own a home, they actually do better in school. So, you know, it's the American dream of owning a home. And, you know, when you own a home versus rent, you can paint the walls whatever color you want. You can have pets, you know, and hopefully you'll have good neighbors, right? But that's something that, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about when you're looking to actually purchase a home. But the first step is to get information and to get pre-approved. So Courtney, if you can go ahead and move forward with the slide, that would be great. So owning a home is a great way for you to build equity. So there's a lot of people involved in the process of when you purchase a home. And one very important person involved is a real estate agent or a realtor. We have a great realtor on the Zoom meeting with us today. Her name is Irma Sparks, and she is with Center 21. And she's going to be sharing with us information after my presentation in regards to what her role is when you're ready to purchase a home. You're also going to have obviously a loan officer, or I like to also call myself a home mortgage consultant, which is the person that would sit down with you and go over your credit, go over your income, and your savings and all of your information to make sure that you're ready to purchase a home, and to see what is the next step that we would need to take together to get you there. When you're buying a home, we are going to send an appraiser, and an appraiser is a person that's going to go and evaluate and take a look at the home that you want to buy to make sure that the house is in good living conditions, make sure everything's working, the air conditioner, the heater, you know, making sure that when you move into the home, it's ready for you. Next slide. So the perks of home ownership, you know, I talked about that pride of ownership, you know, creating financial wealth. So it's all about timing in the market. When you buy a home, you know, for the most part, the values appreciate. So for example, you know, my husband and I, we bought our home back in 2011 when the market was low. And, you know, it's already been 10 years that have passed by. And we're very blessed that we have actually doubled the value of our home because the market has appreciated. So when you build equity in a home, equity are the gains that you make in the home when the values go up. So then you have access to those funds. And with that equity, you can use that in the future if you need to get money for student loans to help your children with, if you need to help your children with college tuition, if you're looking to put a pool in your home, if you're looking to retire. So there's so many things that you can do with the equity that you build in your home once the time has passed and you have made some gains on the purchase of the home. You're also going to have like some tax benefits, and you know, it's best to consult your CPA, but owning a home is a great way for you to build wealth. Go to the next slide. So there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to getting approved or purchasing a home. A lot of people think it's really, really hard. You know, they think that you need a lot of money. You know, maybe you have to have like an 800 credit score. But those are misconceptions, and that's why Irma and I are here to help you clear up the misconceptions and to explain to you a little bit more about what the process is and what the steps are. And we're going to elaborate and talk a little bit more about different options such as down payment assistance. And we're going to talk a little bit more about credit score and what's needed to purchase a home. So most of you maybe rent, or if you already own a home, congratulations. That is an awesome thing to do, but you also can look into purchasing another home. So if you currently rent, if you think about it, how much money have you spent over the years paying somebody else's mortgage? So essentially you've made somebody else rich, you know, but you've also had the opportunity to have a safe place or a great place to live. So if you look at this chart here, just to kind of give you an idea, because sometimes we don't realize how much money we spend until we actually see our bank statements or our credit card statements. It's like, that's when you realize how much money we spend on things. So just like looking at this chart here, you can see, for example, if you're paying, you know, average rent, say $1,200 here in Fresno, $1,200 to $1,500. I mean, over the course of 5 years, you've already paid like $72,000 in payments. So you can see that over 15 years, you know, if you pay anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 in rent, we're looking at $216,000 and $270,000 that you've paid somebody else, when that's like the price of a home, you know, here in Fresno. And Irma will talk a little bit more about the median price of homes here in the area. So some of the hurdles of homeownership is the myth that you have to have an amazing credit score. You could have never had a late, you could have never had a collection. Nobody has perfect credit, so we all might have a little mishap on there. But the key is to help build your credit. And we have programs where you can go as low as 580. Credit scores range anywhere from like the low, like the 400s all the way up to like the 800s being excellent. But there's also things that we can learn to do to help improve our credit score. But again, there are some great programs that can help you with even with lower scores. So one of the big misconceptions is that you need to have 20% down. But we know that there are programs, and we want you to know that the California has a program that can help you with down payment and with closing cost. And it's important for you to also have a contribution as well. Like just when you when buy a car, you need to have a deposit. You know, when you're buying a home, you know, we do want you to have a part of an investment into it, because when you invest in something, you're going to appreciate it so much more. So one of the programs that we have is the FHA loan, which is a government loan. So it offers, you know, you can put as little as 3.5% down, and plus your closing cost. But the government loan, what's really neat about it is that it's more flexible with your credit. So again, like if your credit's not perfect, you know, some medical collections are allowed, you know, it's more flexible with that. And also it allows co-signers. So if you think that, you know, oh, I'm not going to qualify because my credit, you know, my income is very limited, you know, FHA does allow for you to have a co-signer. It could be a parent, a cousin, it could be a relative who could help you to qualify for more. And they don't necessarily have to live in the house. So talking about like when you're purchasing your first home, you know, I believe that your first home should be a stepping stone to that dream home. So sometimes, you know, even if it's not like a big 5-bedroom home, you know, if you start off with a two-bedroom home or 3-bedroom home, you know, it's a great way for you again to build equity to be able to eventually buy that dream home. When I was a processor, I would see so many applications and clients, and sometimes see customers who would buy these very expensive homes. And I would think, wow, how did they do it? You know, how can they buy like a $400,000 or $500,000 home? You know, back in the day when like say the starting price like was $150,000. And I would realize that, you know, or they would sell their home, they would build up equity, sell their home for like $300,000, pay off the $150,000 they owed, and have, you know, $120,000 or so after expenses, which and then they would buy a more expensive house and put all that money down. And a lot of times their payment would be very similar to what they currently were already paying. So that's a stepping stone to get into eventually into your dream home. So the California program that we have, it's down payment assistance. It will help you with loans for the down payment and the closing cost. There is no minimum payment on these loans. I am certified to do these programs, and they'll help you with that. And eventually you'll have to pay that money back. But God willing, by the time, you know, let's say maybe after 30 years, by then you would have built a lot more equity to be able to pay these loans off, or we can help you refinance in the future. But this would allow you to come in with a lot less money than what's normally needed to purchase a home. So they have income limits, and they also have restrictions in regards to how much you can afford, but they're very flexible. It's affordable. So meaning that you could go up to 45% of your income on the payment on the house that you want to purchase. And we can explain this to you in more detail as well once we do a consultation. But I want you to know that California has this amazing program that can help you to purchase a home. So some of the do's and don'ts of when you're applying for a loan, a lot of times, you know, we're not sure of how do I even start? You know, I have a lot of clients that call me and say, I want to apply for a home loan, but I don't even know where to start, you know, or what to do. So the first step is calling us. And what we'll do is, or what I would do is send you the, talk to you a little bit about what your goals are, do a consultation, just talk about how much of a payment you're going to feel comfortable with. For the most part, a lot of clients, you're going to feel comfortable with what they're already paying in rent. So we're going to talk about like how much money you have available, or how much money can you come up with or save. And we're going to talk about like your employment, how long you've been at your job, and want to see that you have some stability in your employment. So some of the do's is, you know, we do want you to, let's see here, pay your rent on time. Oh, that's super important. You know, pay your bills on time. You know, I think that sometimes it happens to everybody that, oh, I left the bill. I did this once. I left my bill in my glove compartment in the car, and I totally forgot to pay that bill, right? So it's life, we're busy, we can forget, you know, but one strong suggestion is for you to set up all your payments on automatic payments. That way you won't forget. And then go each month and pay extra, because your credit is kind of like your report card. Your credit says, look, I pay my bills on time. I'm gonna be able to pay on the house, which is a big step of you know, us seeing if you're able to afford and pay the mortgage. So pay your bills on time. You want to make sure that you stay at about 30% of your limit on your cards. You don't want to over exceed yourself. If you exceed yourself, let's say that your limit on a credit card is $1,000, and you get super excited and go buy a TV that's $1,500, then your credit score is going to drop 50 to 100 points, and it could really affect you once you're ready to purchase the home. So some of the other do's on here, let's take a look. So we want you to go ahead, and we talked about maintaining your good credit score here. You know, don't make any large deposits. Do save. It's very important to save, even if you want to use down payment assistance programs. It's very important for you to save money, because then you're going to have a lot more options. You're going to have a lot of more opportunities. If you find a home that, say, it needs new carpet or it needs new paint, you know, if you have some of your own savings, even if you use down payment assistance, then you might be able to keep some of your own money, so that way you can look at doing the home improvements that you would like. You want to have your documents in order, you know, keep your pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, because once you're ready to buy a home, you want to put those in a folder and have them ready for when we meet. So do get pre-approved. You know, pre-approvals are free. We don't charge. So we, you know, when we pre-approve you, we're going to look at your credit, we're going to look at your income. And so it's a great service that we are able to offer you. And there's no commitment for you to buy a home, you know, so it's a great way to kind of see where you stand. Sometimes customers might be ready to buy a home right away, and they get pre-approved, and within a matter of a week or two, they go find a home and they get into contract. But sometimes some clients, you might be thinking, you know what, next year I want to buy, you know, I'm going to make it my goal. It's going to be on my dream board, you know. So if it's something that you want to do next year, right now is a great time to start, because then we can start planning for the future together. So once you are thinking about applying for a home, you don't want to go out there and get a lot more credit. You know, don't apply for anything else. One of the biggest mistakes that clients make when they want to buy a house is that they go and buy a brand new car, and they buy a $70,000, $80,000 car with $1,000 payment. It's like, wow, that could be a big chunk of your mortgage payment. So, you know, don't go out and buy a new car yet. Buy a home first, and then, you know, in the future, once you're comfortable and have enough funds or more income, then at that point, you know, you could look into purchasing a vehicle. Don't change jobs. You know, it's unless the job that you're going to be changing is going to be, you know, more income, or if you're going to be have a contract, if it's going to improve, then that would be a good idea. But it's best not to make any big movements, because we look at your job stability. Don't make large purchases. We talked about not making large purchases in the cars. Don't deposit any large cash amounts into your bank. You know, save your paychecks. You know, if you have cash at home, use that for your expenses, your daily expenses, you know, and start saving your paychecks. So that way you can use that money to purchase a home. So the truth about getting pre-qualified, a big misconception is that it's going to hurt your credit. So a lot of clients say, I want to apply, but I don't want my credit checked. Your credit report is your report card. So we need to see it, and it's very important for us so we can make sure that, you know, you do pay your bills on time, or if there's anything on your credit that you need to look into getting revised, because sometimes the credit reporting agencies report things in error. Sometimes it even happened to me. There was a collection from a girl that had the same name in the same town that I live from a tow truck company. And it wasn't me. So it's important that you check your credit. You can check your credit free once a year. And you can go to www.annualcreditreport.com. Again, www.annualcreditreport.com. And you can get your free credit report there, and you can see what's reporting on there, if it's yours or not. That way, if there are things on there that do not belong to you, you can see about getting them removed. Another myth is that you have to already have a house in mind, or you have to have already seen a home. So no, you want to get pre-approved first. And then once you have your pre-approval letter, that's like your certificate saying, you know, this is how much I have available to purchase a home. Then once you have your pre-approval letter, at that point, you would meet with a real estate agent. And Irma is a great real estate agent that will be talking a little bit after the presentation about her role. And she would be the one to help you once you have your approval letter to show you homes in your price range. And once you get pre-approved, you're not obligated to purchase a home. If you decide, you know, it's not for me, or I want to wait a couple of years or wait some time, then by all means, you don't have to, you're not committed. And the myth also is that you have to know your budget. We're going to help you. We're going to help you to know what your budget is based on your information once we review it. So next, I want to introduce you to Irma Sulfidel Sparks. She's been in the business for, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, 50 years. And she's not that old. She's been in the business a long time. But before I introduce Irma, I wanted to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Mayra Delgado. I'm with Precision Home Loans. Happily married. We got a rescue dog in April, and he's just adorable. And you know, I've been in the business for about 25 plus years. I don't really want to age myself, but yes, it's been that long. I really, truly do love helping people accomplish this dream of owning a home. I've helped thousands of families. We've helped clients that have bought, you know, homes as low, back in the day, as low as 50,000 all the way to over $1 million. And every customer is important to us. We like to treat everybody with dignity and respect, because, you know, we are all, hopefully we can all be able to purchase a home and all be given royal treatment when we're buying a home. So we would love to help you. And I would love for Irma to tell us a little bit more about what her role is. And Irma has been so involved in the community as well, helping many, many families purchase their home. Irma, if you would like to share.
Thank you, Mayra. Yes, it's 24 plus real estate years and still loving it. I do specialize in buyers, so this is a spectacular opportunity that the city of Fresno has given me to kind of share with you the pitfalls and not so, it's just exciting when people come to us and they're ready to buy. It's a roller coaster of emotions. That's one thing I always tell my clients: be prepared to be emotional, whether it's up today or down tomorrow, you're wondering what to do. Well, the first thing is that we do need that approval letter from Mayra at Precision Home Loans to get started, because then I can base my home search on that letter. But we do have to have that personal consultation with the buyer to determine what area is important. Are your children in school, your commute to work? So there's a lot of things that we do take into consideration when we have that first consultation to find the right community for you. And building a community is part of home ownership. And that's what I pride myself in. And I tell my clients, once you become a homeowner, you are building stability, but most importantly, you are becoming a positive part of the area you live in. So, you know, the median price in Fresno is about $350,000. That doesn't mean that there's not homes for less than that price. We do have an affordable factor in Fresno, which is good. So there are homes under that 350,000 median price point. So don't let that term scare you. Find out what you qualify for. Meet with me. We have a terrific Fresno multiple listing service that provides information as properties are being placed on the market. So we will put you on a portal so you will be receiving those properties the minute they become available on the market. You call me, we set up an appointment to go see those. We do still have a very big shortage of homes available for sale. So we want to make it a point to be aggressive and be out looking at those homes once they are available for you to go out and look at them. I change my schedules a lot for buyers that are saying, we need to go see this today. We go out there, and once you start the negotiating part of the contract, know that there are multiple offers coming in. Know that some offers are coming in over the asking price with what they call an appraisal gap, meaning that you as a buyer have X amount of dollars to pay over the appraisal. That is still a very popular way to negotiate. That doesn't mean you have to do it, but it is very popular. And I will explain that process to you if it becomes something that could possibly be an alternative for negotiating. I also look at, when we're looking at the market as a whole, what the property might be worth. I look at the sales price versus the actual final closing price to get a percentage. And based on that percentage, we may need that in order to negotiate for your perfect price on that perfect property that we have found. So we just have to be very conscientious of what the market looks like and the indicators are for that particular home that you're looking at. We look at the whole city of Fresno, but then we focus on within a quarter to a half mile to 1 mile away from the subject property. So when we're offering, we are making those good decisions on how are we going to aggressively negotiate to win that offer. So there's also a deposit. When you make a purchase, we take a deposit, and typically it's 1% of the purchase price, but always know that that money is your money and it's part of your down payment. And if there's an issue that becomes a problem that we can no longer move forward with that contract, that deposit is returned to the buyer, but both the buyer and the seller have to agree that it gets returned to the buyer, but we have to be conscientious of contractual dates. Typically you have 17 days to go out and do all your inspections. And that's why it's important to have a realtor. Sometimes you can come across a for sale by owner property. Know that if you don't have a realtor representing you on a for sale by owner, you don't know what your contractual timeframe rights are. And a for sale by owner, that seller really doesn't have that concern for you. So when you hire a realtor, we are very, very conscientious of what the contract stipulates and how we've written it. So dates are of utmost importance because you have 17 days to do inspections and get the appraisal back to the lender. And it's the lender's responsibility to order that appraisal, but then it becomes our responsibility as a buyer to be conscientious of the dates provided for us to do all our due diligence. So the deposit has to be in escrow within 3 days of the day they say yes, but keep in mind that's always your money. The inspections, you have the right to inspect and investigate. If you want to know anything about that property, your neighborhood, Mayra mentioned, you don't know who your neighbors are. Well, you have the right to go knock on some doors and find out who are my neighbors on this side of me and that side of me, and how many people actually own in this neighborhood versus renters that are in place, and how close is that school that my children will be attending, and how close are the grocery stores, freeways. All of those things play into that contractual 17-day period for the buyer to do his inspection. So it's not just, oh, I have 17 days, and then you just let those 17 days disappear without making sure that you've done your due diligence. The seller, in turn, within that same period, has to give you disclosures or any known fact that he may know about that property. One of the biggest things is, has anyone died in that property? Well, the statutory time period is 3 years. So now we know that within 3 years, has anyone died in that property? And that becomes an issue for some cultures. And if that is an issue, we would cancel if that becomes something that is a concern. So that's why those timeframes and a realtor is important, so we can know, hey, we found something we don't like, can we cancel? You let me know, and then I talk to the agent and we discuss the issues, because we really don't want to cancel on a home that you are so in love with. We want to find resolutions to any questions or concerns you may have. So that's, you know, the nuts and bolts of the contract are 17 days to do your inspections and 21 days to get the formal loan approval. Once we get the formal loan approval, it's like, yay, we're almost done. The appraisal came in at value. Mayra has checked again that you are employed and you're still, you know, on board with everything. So typically it takes 30 days. And that sounds like a long time when you first start, but once you start going through the process, you're like, oh my God, we're almost there. At the latter part of your escrow, you get what they call a closing disclosure from Mayra, and it will tell you what the terms are of that particular loan that you're negotiated for. So you have 3 days for a residual period to discuss with the lender, hey, you know, this isn't really what you told me at the beginning. How are we going to make those corrections? So finally, at the latter part, you get to go, it's 3 days of a residual period. Then you finally get to go to escrow and sign with the notary the terms of that contract. And that's almost like you want to cry, because everybody is so emotional about knowing that within 24 to 48 hours from you signing all of your loan documents, you're actually going to be in your home and receiving the keys from your realtor. So that brings so much joy to me as a realtor, to be able to help, whether you're that first-time home buyer or buying that second home or investment for your family. So it's pretty inspiring, because we have to be so always at a level of enthusiasm for our clients, because it is a stressful situation and it is the biggest purchase you'll probably ever make in your life if it's your first home. So our job is to also put you at ease by telling you these are the responsibilities that I have to you, but you also as a buyer have responsibilities to us, and to keep us abreast as to if there's any changes in your home, because that could make a big difference on whether you can finish the purchase or not. Is there anything?
Irma, can you talk a little bit about, like, if the buyers, if they pay you, or, you know, how does that work? Like when they use your services, is there a fee?
There is not a fee. There is a lot of clients lately have been asking me, which is surprising me, but no, there is not a fee. The seller actually pays for the buyer's compensation, the buyer's agent's compensation. So no, buyers don't have to pay us. You know, sometimes they jokingly will say things, and I just say, you know what, at the close of escrow, I would rather have you feed me a meal or something, but there's nothing monetary that comes from any consumer at all. So yeah, don't ever pay a realtor for services unless you're the seller.
And same with us, you know, when we help clients get pre-approved, our commissions or our pay, it doesn't come directly. You don't have to pay that up front. The company pays us through, after you pay all the fees that are involved when purchasing a home, the company pays us for our work done on the loans. So we want to encourage you to apply, do a consultation, because there is no charge, and it's a great way for you to get information. Are there any questions at this time? Courtney, can we take questions?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take questions. So you can, like I said, you can hit the raise your hand feature. You can press *9 on your phone. Let us know if you have any questions. If you want to write it in the chat, I will read it out loud since it is being recorded, and the chat is not part of the recording. We will just read the question out loud, and our presenters can answer that for you.
So it looks like there was a comment on there. Courtney, would you be willing to read it?
Let's see. The one from Myrna?
Yes.
From Myrna Garcia. Mayra and Irma, you ladies are rock stars. Gracias. Keep up the good work. It is going to take all of us to help our community. Thank you, ladies, and have a great evening. Thank you,
Thank
Myrna.
you so much, Myrna.
Sweet.
Irma and I are actually closing on a client tomorrow, and we like to attend our signings. So when you're ready to buy a home, we're going to be there with you when you're signing your final paperwork, because we know that it can be a little bit scary, or if there's any questions, but we like to support you throughout the whole process.
And you know, it's very interesting because when I first start, well, I show up to all of my signings if I'm in Fresno or whatever, but I cancel appointments with clients if I know a signing is going to happen, because sometimes we don't get notified of the signing until the day before. And if you're planning your calendar, you typically are booked throughout the day. So once I get notification from the notary or my escrow officer, or Mayra sometimes, I will call and cancel appointments that I have, because it is of utmost importance for me to be there at the signing, because they are so nervous. But the most surprising part is that the notary is usually shocked, and they're wondering, who is this third person? She doesn't belong here, because they're not accustomed to having the realtor or the mortgage lender be present. I know one of the things that I emphasize to my lenders when they're coming on board new to me, I tell them, you need to be present at my signing, because these are your loan docs. They're not the notary's loan docs. The notary is just there to make sure that you are who you say you are by your identification of your driver's license or a California ID. So I think it's critical for all agents, whether you're a first-time buyer or buying your multiple hundredth house, I don't care. I show up and I expect my lender to be there, or at least be somewhere accessible in case there is a question on the documents we're signing.
I want to talk a little bit more about like a down payment, because I've had a lot of clients that sometimes they think they don't have any money for a down payment, but some of the sources that you can use for a down payment, you'd be surprised. Sometimes people, or you might have a 401k or a retirement account, and you can borrow money from that retirement account, or you can take out money to purchase your first home. Some employers have where you can take out up to $10,000 and don't get penalized. You do have to pay taxes, but you want to check with your employer if you have any funds available. Another great source is if you have family members that can help you out and they can give you a family gift. I know that in some cultures, you know, mom and dad or cousins, brothers, you know, they all help each other and they all pitch in, you know, to help someone buy their first home. So that's another great source. And last but not least is also a tax refund. I'm surprised to see sometimes clients that obtain $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 in their tax refund, which is a great source you can use to invest in a home.
You know, Mayra, can I touch on a big question that I'm constantly being asked by buyers? They're asking me, are price our home price is going to be declining. We're hearing the hum, the buzzes. Yes, indeed. I wish I had the crystal ball that we all wish we had, but the current availability of homes is very low. So the less inventory you have, the more demand. So in my opinion, I think pricing, if anything, they're going to stay or maybe stabilize a little bit. With interest rates being at an all-time low for the last 3 years, we've had the same type of interest. I don't think we've seen a 4.5% in over 3 years. So if interest rates start to climb up a little bit, I'm of the opinion that the pricing of homes will decline. But if you take into consideration and you look at an amortization schedule to see what that 5% interest might be versus a 3% interest, and then you decrease the value of a home by 10%, you're gonna find that overall to buy right now in a high price market is still beneficial versus buying when the market drops and interest rates climb. Your payment right now with interest rates the way they are, even though the houses are expensive, according to all of us, you're still going to end up paying less now versus a drop in the market or a decline in the market prices and an increase in interest rates. So it's a phenomenal, great time to purchase if you're looking to buy that home. And it's a great time to sell because of the market inventory. So both ways, either buying or selling, I think the consumers are in a very good position right now. Are there any questions about the market and what we're anticipating?
All right, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Any more from our speakers?
Once again, go ahead, Irma.
I just wanted to say I've been with Century 21 C. Watson for 24 years, 25 next year, and I'm so excited to continue to be a leader in the industry. I love what I do, and it's not so much about how much are you going to earn. It's not, it really isn't. It truly, you need to find a realtor that has a passion for what we do and really has your concerns and all of your, whatever you're feeling in first position. You're always first, we're not. So I think, you know, if you're going to interview some realtors, find out, what is your experience? How many deals do you close a year? Are you really active in the community? Do you know of all the programs that may be available? And there's just so much more other than just selling the home to that person. I admire agents that really care about home ownership and the respect that we need to have towards each other as associates, but more importantly to our community and families that we're placing into homes.
Yes, you want to interview and, you know, the people that you're going to be working with, and you want to work with a loan officer and a realtor that you're going to feel comfortable with. And like Irma says, that is looking out for your best interest. And they're going to tell you the truth. You are ready now. You're not ready at this time, but I'm going to help you. We're going to work together for the next couple of months, the next year, you know, to get you ready so that you can feel comfortable and that you can afford a home. Courtney, thank you so much for the invitation. Irma and I love presenting and helping clients accomplish this dream. It's such a huge step, and the accomplishment of owning a home is it's just amazing. So hopefully, you know, this put a little spark in you to have a desire to buy a home. And don't be shy, give us a call. We would love to help you and answer any other questions you might have offline.
So we do have one question that just came in. So can you explain what the no income check loan is about? I've heard that recently, and this is from an anonymous attendee.
So we currently do not have a no income loan. There were some types of loans like that in the past where they would just use their credit as a base. But at this time, we don't have a no income. There are some other products. Sometimes if clients are self-employed, we do have a program where we can look at their bank statements and see the deposits that they have. So I would just encourage the person to give us a call, and we can see if there is a program that we might have available for them. Or sometimes people, Courtney, might think that Social Security is no income, but Social Security, it is income that we can use. And same for seasonal employees. If they're working every season and collecting unemployment, we can also use the unemployment as income as long as they're going to be returning to work when the season starts.
And Mayra and I have done a lot of seasonal employed families, and it really works. And sometimes we could work with a family for a year to 2 years before they're actually ready to purchase because they don't have certain documents in place, or whatever the case may be. Their credit may be poor, but we help them and we keep them encouraged during that term of waiting to become that future homeowner. So I can appreciate what Mayra does with our clients, the way she really consults with them and is very upfront and just says, here's where we're at, but we can get there if you follow these steps. So that's why it's important when you start thinking about purchasing that you contact your mortgage lender and set up a plan so you'll know how long it's going to take you if you can't quite attain it at this moment. So don't get discouraged. We're here to really educate you and guide you through the steps.
Great, thank you. Another comment just came in through the chat. Is it important to do a home inspection, and who pays for it?
Very. Throughout the 10-page contract, it is emphasized in more than one place the importance of having a home inspection, and it is within that time frame that you stipulate on the contract. The buyer typically will pay for the home inspection, and then the buyer has the right to ask the seller to do any of those improvements. But within the body of the contract, it also says that the seller doesn't even have to respond to our request or just say yes or no. So it's still up to the seller to make that determination. But the importance is that you do have an inspection, you find out exactly what you're buying. Because if it turns out to be a major concern, you may want to reconsider or find out what the cost would be to repair it. But yes, very important, and the buyer does pay for the inspection.
And same kind of like with the appraisal, you know, the appraisal, the buyer does pay for the appraisal, but it's a very important part because it will tell us if the property is indeed worth what you're paying for it. If the property appraises for the same or more, then you're making a great buy. If the price appraises, if the home appraises for less, then that's where the realtor or Irma would come into place and help you negotiate for the price to be lowered, or if you're going to meet somewhere in the middle, and if you're willing to pay a little bit extra to continue purchasing the home. But the appraiser also is going to make sure that the house is in really good, living condition. But the inspection, like Irma mentioned, is so much more important because it's a more in-depth review of the home.
Exactly. The home inspection will go over the major components of the home. And now there's even a lot of people doing sewer line inspections, which I think those are important. But the array of your inspections are entirely up to how extensive you as a buyer want that inspection to be. And there are general home inspectors that do a wonderful job throughout the city of Fresno and Fresno County for that matter. So we have a list of those, so you don't have to be worrying about where am I going to find an inspector to do my inspections. We have a host of inspectors that will help you.
You can also pay for a home warranty, and if you're using down payment assistance programs, it is required. In a home warranty, you can pay for it. In some cases, the seller would pay for it, but a home warranty, you get it for a year, and if anything breaks or goes wrong with the home, and in most cases, the home warranty company would cover, kind of like an insurance.
Yeah, and that's another critical point. I always like to have a home warranty in place at least for 1 year, especially if the home has been vacant for any extended amount of time, because things tend to get corroded or whatever for not using them. So if you move in and now you have an issue, you call the home warranty and there is a coverage, and you pay like a $75 fee for that professional to come in and replace or repair whatever item may not be functioning. And it's good for all the major components of the property.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for our panel? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you to Mayra and Irma for that great presentation and all the important information that you've shared with us about buying your first home. Oh, looks like we have one more question that just came in. Can you explain what the no, oh, that was a previous question. We already covered that. So with that, I'll go ahead and close the webinar. Again, you can see the recording and the presentation on the Transform Fresno website at www.transformfresno.com. So you can go back and look at this information. Thanks again, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Thanks again.
Thank you.